Okay, so welcome to a new tutorial series for FL Studio. What I'm going to be doing, it's going to be very easy and very basic. I've been on a couple of Facebook groups now and on Twitter, and people are really trying to get ahead of themselves a little bit too soon. Making music is like anything, it's not going to be easy, but once you've got the fundamentals and once you've got the understanding of what music is and what sound does, you'll be fine. So today the basic tutorial we're going to be doing is with your kicks. Your kicks are really important to your track. Doesn't matter what genre you're in. If your kicks are badly EQ'd, it can muddy up your mix quite easily, and your tune just won't sound how you think you want it to sound. So what I usually do, okay, I've got the Vengeance sets. I'm a bit of a trance DJ, trance producer, and on the harder sound. So I like the big, hard, punchy sound. So let's just turn this down a bit. Bang, bang, bang. Okay, so I'm going to open that in a new channel. Let's go 1, 2, 3, 4. So let's have a listen. Okay, so it's pretty full on already. It won't need too much of an EQ, but there's a nice big tail on it, as you can see here. So this is where your kick hits, but then there's a long old tail on it, which we don't want because we want a little bit cleaner than it actually is. So what we're going to do, we're going to go into our mixer. So if you want to do that automatically without having to assign a track and things like that, it's just Control and L. So what we're going to do is open up Fruity Paramedic EQ. It's one of the best EQs that I've ever used in any DAW that I've used. Let's see how that looks. Let's just make this nice and big for you. Let's look how it looks in the EQ. Now, it's going to show lots of different colours. Okay, basically that's just showing where it's hitting. You've got your hertz down here, so you've got all the way from 20 hertz all the way up to 20,000 hertz. You don't need to know anything above that or below that. And up here you've got your ranges. Now these are only ideals, I would say. These aren't what you might want to go by or what you should go by depending on your track, but they are really good for looking to see the frequency ranges of certain elements. So with your kick, let's do this. So you can see it's all centered. Your kick is really centered between 28 and 29 hertz all the way up to, I would say, 250, maybe 225 hertz. So what we want to do first, up here, you just need to make it a little bit more of a steep roll off, but we need to roll off our kick. That's a bit too steep. There you go. We want to roll it off at about 30 hertz. Well, again, this is personal preferences, but now what you want to do, you do want to give your kick a little bit more presence. So if you move this over to around about 60 hertz and move it up, there's your thump. Okay, there's your thump. Now when it comes down to mixing and mastering, you can bring that through a lot easier and a lot more prominent, but we don't want to do that. All we want to do is EQ the kick so it fits correctly in our track. So here you've got your decibel meter, -15 to +15. What you want to do is just bring it up very slightly, maybe to around about 2 decibels. Now over here, as you can see, there's not a lot of stuff going on. That's your tail that I was talking about. We don't want a tail, so let's get rid of that. We'll take it off at around about 14,500 hertz. Now this is where you can start sculpting your sound. Now you can hear it's quite bassy. That's not a problem because we can deal with that. So what I usually do to start having the click is start sculpting exactly the sound that you want. So if you want a really clicky sound, there you go, you can take that all the way up there. But again, you're going to have to play around with your mixing and mastering really to get that back to a decent sounding level with keeping the kick, and we can come on to that in a different video. So what I usually do is just bring that up, so bring it down at around about 7,000 hertz to around about -3 dB. Again, I'm just sculpting. I think that's pretty half decent for what I want. Okay, so what I'm actually going to do with this as well, I'm going to make this quite a there, so you can keep the kick, but it's completely rolled off. So what you're looking at now is the kick is now starting just to take shape a little bit better. But again, we've still got this tail. Now what you want to do is remove the DC offset, normalize the actual sample and change this to a transient. Now here you have your attack and your release actually within the sample itself. This is nothing to do with your effects at the moment, just in the sample. So what you want to do with your release attack is keep it there, because if you move it, this happens. Yeah, you just keep the tail. So we need to keep that kick there. But what you can do is play around with the out. Now can you see the waveform is now changing? It's slightly going smaller and smaller on the right hand side. See? There you go. So now you've got a click, you've removed the tail completely, but you've still got the thump. Now what you want to do now, we've got to put some compression on it, because what we need to do, where we've made one end of your sample quieter and removed all that tail, we've now got an indifference in the transients. So what we need to do is open up your Fruity Limiter, hit comp for compression. I'm going to go pretty harsh on this compression because the transients are going to be a little bit different. Now when I'm talking about transients, this here, let's make this nice and big. Okay. Okay, so your transient is from here to here. We need to try and level it as much as we can. You won't level it completely, but you want to try and level it as much as you can. So what I want to do is bring my threshold down to around about 30 dB. Now anything above -30 dB will be compressed. And the ratio you can see up in this corner here, okay, you'll see the numbers. I'm going to do it to about 3. So for every decibel, so for every 3 decibels that I lose, I get a decibel back, okay, in compression. So let's do that. So you see it's now brought all of this down, so it's a little bit more. Let me just try and bring that there. So now all this purple area has gone, completely gone, to being completely compressed into these little white areas. Okay, now I did say it may not completely level up, but we can work with that later on. Okay, but now you can hear the sound has completely dropped. The actual volume of that sample has dropped. It's a bit annoying. So what we need to do is put some makeup gain in there, and this button here, this little knob here, is where you do it. So you bring your gain up to around about 7 dB. So it's back to where it was, but it's nice and compressed. Now there are some other tips and tricks I can do, but this was very basic for now. So I hope that's helped a little bit more for you. If you've got any questions or any comments, again, we're all learning. I'm still learning. I've been producing now for about 10 years. It's all about how you want your sound to be, but just remember, your kick, your bass, your leads, your pianos, your vocals, your hi-hats, your percussion, everything has a spectrum, a frequency spectrum, and is placed in a certain area. Otherwise you're just going to muddy it up. So like I said, comments and suggestions in the boxes below, and I will speak to you later. Cheers, bye bye.